Hi, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com. I'm here with Lamorne Morris and Aimee Garcia. We're here to discuss Woke, currently on Hulu with season 2 debuting on April 8th. How are you guys doing?
That's right. Yeah, doing fantastic. How are you?
Thank you. How you so serious there, Lamorne? You got the whole setup.
That's right. I mean business. I didn't come here to play games.
You ain't coming to play no games. Okay,
you see my
good.
trophies.
I love it. Yeah, I was curious about the show because it is set in San Francisco, and you don't see a lot of shows set in San Francisco. What went into that backdrop, and it's really beautiful, but it's showing us something a little bit different than we normally see.
Yeah, people don't see that. I think that is important. What you just said is because people don't see San Francisco in shows that often. People don't see Black folks put in this light often, where we showcase Black nerds and the things that nerdy Black folks do because they exist. I say we exist. And Keef Knight, the person that I play, the person who the show is based on, is a real dude who came up in that town, who came up in that part of our country, and was going through something. And he was going through this awakening, this internal awakening, where he was trying to figure out what his Blackness meant to him, what it was, what his place was in the world as a cartoonist. And so that's why we set it there, because this is very real and true to him. And in San Francisco, there are real things that are happening. There are real issues that are happening and that aren't showcased. We think, it's this big tech place that's just fun and expensive and everything is happy-go-lucky, but no, there's issues there just like any place else in our country and in our world. And I think it was a great place to have the setting of the show.
And then Aimee, you're joining the cast for season 2, and you'll be playing Laura Salgado. Talk to us about that character and what she's going to bring to the show.
Well, I love her for so many reasons. She's unapologetic about her work ethic. She's completely self-made. She comes from very humble beginnings. Her parents are immigrants. They set up a taqueria, and she goes from that to becoming a very successful venture capitalist who is a multi-millionaire, but she still doesn't forget her roots. She still speaks Spanish. She still wants her name to be pronounced Lauda instead of Laura. And she brings Keef, who's played by Lamorne, to her dad's taqueria. So I really love that despite her wealth and her success and her influence and her ability to just be a total boss in a guy's world of venture capitalism tech, she doesn't forget her roots or where she comes from. And I think she provides a bigger platform for Keef. So it's like one thing to want to be an activist grassroots style. What happens when someone write you a check for $250,000? Are you able to maintain that pure mission?
That's actually an excellent point. And that's what I like about the show, is that it does an incredible job of, we're talking about very, very serious themes like police brutality, community activism, but there's also just that injection of humor. And we're reminded about things, even like performative activism. These are things that don't really get talked about on television. So I wanted to talk about that too, guys. Lamorne, probably my favorite episode was Prayers for Cubby, because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
But it's the way of the world.
It is the way of the world. You know what I mean? We follow trends, we follow social trends, whatever the latest hashtag is. If you don't post something that the rest of Instagram is posting, then you're not a loving and caring individual. You know what I mean? In this show, and the Prayers for Cubby episode, for the folks who haven't seen it, it's they're on this bus ride, and there's a koala that escaped from the zoo, and the whole world is activated on figuring this out. Meanwhile, on this bus ride, we got all these people talking about it, but we got a homeless guy on the bus. We got a person who's out of his mind, who's mentally ill on the bus, is asking for money, and we're just kind of shunning him away, and it's like, hey guys, there are things right in front of you that we can fix and that we can change to make our world better. And look at what we are doing. We are dismissing this dude. You know what I mean? We got high rent going on. We all on the bus for a reason. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about, you know what I mean?
That was that powerful line. I was hoping you'd bring that up. Yep.
Yeah. So, I think that's the world that we live in. People, it's hard not to feel that pressure to be dynamic and big in your engagement. You know what I mean? You want to make a statement every single time you post something or you do something. But, you know, it's the little things that matter. It's literally, what is your neighbor going through that matters. You know what I mean? It's as close as that. You got to take care of home first. You got to fix those issues in your neighborhood before you can do those dynamic things. And I think a lot of times there's a pressure to be, like you said, performative, to make announcements of your philanthropy and make announcements of all the things that you're doing, because it's all for self. And there's a pressure to do that, but I don't think we shouldn't have to do that. We should just do what we can in the lane that we can do it in, and I think that's okay. And it might go a longer way than you thought.
And it seems that Keef is really kind of reluctant to be this big spokesperson at first. He kind of doesn't know what he's getting himself into, you know, given the circumstances that sort of led him to activism. So it's really interesting to see that journey. And Aimee, like you said, it's interesting to see that paired with someone who has the financial, you know, the wealth basically. But like you said, it also has the groundedness that's really hard to see because sometimes people do change with wealth, but not all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what this show does so well, is show all the different point of views. Like, for example, another Latino character on the show is Unhoused. And he is also a colleague of Keef's and shows Keef some things. And so it puts a human face on someone who doesn't have a bed to sleep in at night. And so I think this show is so unique because it has two people who want the same thing. They want to go about it in completely different ways, and it forces them to have a conversation, which, like, the heart in me is like, you hear so many stories about people not talking to their parents because they're old school, or people losing best friends because they're so polarized in beliefs. And I feel like a show like this is like, oh, yes, you're gonna laugh. Yes, everyone's hysterical. Saturday Night Live, New Girl, Workaholics. It's like the Avengers of comedy and improvisation. I'm like, oh man, really? You guys are gonna come up with different lines? it's like that. So yes, you're gonna laugh and you're gonna kind of squirm, but hopefully it also makes people think, gosh, I totally disagree with my dad, or I totally disagree with my best friend, but maybe I should ask him why they think that way.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, learn something, and then maybe both of us can affect change.
Right.
That's an excellent point. And Lamorne, let's just keep it really light. What's it like actually working with these cartoon characters? Because you're doing the most, like what you're doing, of course, the actual acting, but then you're having to pretend like something's talking to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's fun. It's definitely fun, because, you know, when you start in this business, you just want to be a kid. You just want to play pretend and goof off. You know what I mean? I talk to myself on a regular basis, and people think I'm crazy. I do it. You know, I don't know. I'm sometimes just doing characters, just doing bits, working on accents, impressions, and I do it all the time. So it was second nature to me to talk to the toast and butter having a conversation with me. But there are moments where on the show, which they do a great job of making it very practical. So they will take a marker and they will rig certain things in it and have a puppeteer moving it for me while we have it. But it's difficult because you have another person who is not JB Smoove over in the corner reading the lines, and you're trying to have a back and forth with that person who's not an improviser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, and so that's the difficult part of it, but it's fun because it just makes the day on set lighter and fun as well, because you're just literally goofing around with each other. Yeah, it's fun.
You can totally tell. I thank you both for your time. Once again, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with Lamorne Morris and, of course, Aimee Garcia. It was so good to talk to you guys, and thank you for inspiring this kind of conversation in the way that you're doing it. It's a different way, and it makes people feel good. So season 2, I've been looking at all the reviews and everything too. You guys, like, people are into this.
Oh, yeah.
Woke is the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for doing something so great and spectacular. If you want to see more content like this on blackfilm.com, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.